This video is brought to you guys by FragranceBuy.ca, which we do every month. It's not new here, but there is quite a bit of newness in this not newness that we need to discuss. Some of you guys who already follow Fragrance Buy may have already heard the news, but Fragrance Buy is essentially launching a US arm of their business that they call FragFlex. I think it's already been around, but it will officially be connected to Fragrance Buy, and they're going to offer the same service across both platforms. The only difference being Fragrance Buy will now not be shipping to the United States, I think starting about the 27th of August. And the reason is with the changing political climate, the changes in legislation around tariffs, Fragrance Buy will no longer be able to ship to the United States, but that is where FragFlex comes in. They're essentially just going to pick up where Fragrance Buy left off, provide the same catalog, the same service, the same perks, everything will be intact, just at a different website for those of us in the United States. There's going to be a lot of good things that come with this change. And if you want to inform yourself more about them, I'm going to link down below to the part of their website where they explain all the changes and how you can better understand what to expect. We have a very simple topic, but not a basic one. I've done videos like this in the past over the last couple years where I'm taking some of the most recent, most popular, I would say mainstream fragrance releases that I've gotten my hands on, that I've gotten my nose on, and I'm giving you my brutally honest opinions on them all at once. I went ahead and rated each fragrance out of 10 based on my experience, based on my taste, and I'm just going to provide my opinions on each of these fragrances as we go through. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say. I have ideas because some of these have sparked some interesting thoughts in my brain. Just about every fragrance I talk about will be available at FragranceBuy/FragFlex. Not all of them, at least not yet, because some of them are still a little bit too new, but hopefully in the months to come they will be available, and I will try to update the links down below. But let's dive right into it. This first fragrance I did a first impressions of not that long ago, within the last couple weeks. Ultimately, it didn't impress me. I've worn it since then. It still doesn't really impress me. I would easily rate this a 5.5 out of 10. This is Ralph Lauren, Ralph's Club, New York. They went heavy on the whole black currant theme here. They're saying how black currant is at the forefront and it's really gonna make this fragrance stand out. Yeah, I mean, it's in here. It's that, slightly tart fruitiness that's kind of dark and definitely a little bit sweet. There's this classic vanilla, woody, ambery feel behind that, a little bit aromatic and fresh, and kind of a basic profile for an easy and likable fragrance. If you're looking for easy and likable, then this is one of the many that you can choose from. You probably already have some in your collection. You don't necessarily need this because it's not really going to do anything different. If you already have other fragrances in this Ralph Club's collection, I don't know if this is a solid addition to continue growing your collection of that. If you have them all, I would say some of the previous ones, especially maybe the Elixir, are more special than this. This is a head scratcher for me. I was expecting a whole lot more as far as this presentation, as far as the hype behind it, but it's just fine. It's a fine fragrance. So that's all I'm going to say about it. If you happen to love this one, then keep loving it, but I'd love to know what you think down in the comments if you have some thoughts to share on Ralph's Club, New York. It's just okay. Let's continue with the shiny theme. I wonder if that's going to continue through the end of this year, 2025, but we have this one from YSL. I literally just got my nose on it
earlier today.
Still have fresh thoughts on this one, but I'm liking it. This is called Myslf L'Absolu, fingerprint magnet to say the least, but I'm liking this one. This is easily my favorite one that I've tried so far. I've tried all three. It takes the original DNA, which is this not super original DNA. In fact, we're seeing it among other fragrances out on the market, and even is a little similar to a fragrance we're going to talk about here in a second. It's a sweet floral DNA. It is orange blossom, I believe, so it's kind of orangey with this sweet kind of creamy, posh, fresh floral quality, this like ambery woodiness behind it. And what I do enjoy about the L'Absolu version is that they add this spice. I think it might be ginger. There's a zingy, warm, kind of dry spice to the scent. And also, I don't know what it is, on my skin, I get a fougere quality, almost like a standard basic barbershop fougere, like at the barbers from Margiela. Almost that vibe at the heart of the scent, kind of this clean, borderline creamy soapiness, but I do like that they've built around it. It is a little sweeter than your standard barbershop. Again, it has that zingy spice. It's just a pleasant fragrance. I've been enjoying the wafts I'm getting in the air. It's on my hand. I'm liking it. I'm easily going to rate this an 8 out of 10. I look forward to getting to know it better. Who knows, the rating may go up or down from there depending on my full wearing experience. But what do you think of this one? I'd love to know what your brutally honest thoughts are on YSL Myslf L'Absolu. Before we continue, I know some of you guys are wondering if I'm going to be talking about the new Bleu de Chanel. I haven't got my nose on it yet. I plan to, so that's not in this video, but it will be in upcoming videos. So hold on to your drawstrings. That's what they say, right? Up next, this one is not pretty. It's not bad. It's just, I had high hopes for this. I was really excited when it was announced because it's not often that we get a brand new DNA from a designer house, one that they can create as a foundation that they can build from, and maybe build a whole collection of flankers that are hopefully even better, or at least cohesive with the original. So they gave us Paradigme. This is their newest fragrance for men. Man, I'm just like, is this really Prada? This smells a little bit like YSL Myslf or something like that. In that realm, this sweet kind of floral, powdery, fresh fragrance, but there's just not a whole lot of personality here. It is really overdone on kind of the bubble gum sweetness. I just don't understand. Again, coming from Prada, the Luna Rossa line, coming from their L'Homme line, just stellar quality designer mainstream releases that they've done. They had several perfumers working on this, and I'm kind of scratching my head that this was the final result. It's based around a lot of geranium. The powdery freshness definitely comes from the geranium. It is fresh, it's pleasant in its freshness, but it is unbelievably unremarkable. I just don't get it, and I really sat with it. I tried to really just dig through the layers and just figure out, okay, as this dries down, does the real personality come out? Am I missing something here? It just doesn't go anywhere. It just goes off a cliff. It was sad. I was like, that's it? That's how the movie ends? So I'm gonna keep spending some time with it, but first couple wearings of this, not impressed. Again, not terrible smelling. None of these smell terrible. None of these smell foul or anything like that. But man, among all the other fragrances we've already seen on the market from designer brands that aren't really trying, this is not really standing out as trying any harder than that. Just kind of a disappointment from the house of Prada. I'd love to know what you think if you've tried Paradigme. Again, I know there's gonna be a lot of you guys who are like,
I don't see what the problem is. It smells good, so why does it matter?
Again, if you already have at least one or two of these fragrances I'm sharing with you today, then how is this any different? Prada Paradigme gets a 5 out of 10 for me. Just right down the middle. I hope to feel differently about Paradigme as the year continues on. I did overlook this fragrance when it came out because I haven't been terribly interested in this line over the past year or two. There's just been a lot of the same, at least to my nose. Nothing really novel coming to this very iconic and legendary collection. It just has felt like, okay, they're milking the cow, and I understand why. We have Acqua di Gio Elixir. And I started to hear a buzz over the last few months, not even just when it came out. I wasn't really paying attention, but over the last few months, I've seen people talking about this, saying, oh man, it's one of the best in the line. Oh, I love the depth in it. I'm like, okay, maybe I should actually look into it. So I requested from FragBuy that they send this over so I can check it out for myself. I've given it a couple wearings. And here's what I can say about it. It is kind of like Acqua di Gio Profumo, kind of, but with a slightly different depth in terms of just the thickness of the scent. Not so much in the smell, but it is a denser concentration and it behaves as one. It kind of comes off heavier. So what I get out of this is a fresh, familiar aquatic nature, maybe a little citrusy, but I do get a good bit of violet leaf in here that stands out as this somewhat cucumbery, green, fresh, herbal feel that I happen to really like. I am a fan of violet leaf, so that got my attention. As it dries on the skin, you get a little bit more leather, maybe more of that earthiness like patchouli, which we know from the original Acqua di Gio. What happens to the scent is that it gets pretty leathery, it gets pretty supple, and it also gets pretty quiet. I noticed it lasting a good while on my skin, probably 7-8 hours, but I'm not really smelling it around me all that much after maybe half of that time. I was really struggling to get wafts, which is okay, it's fine. I know it functions well as an easy to like fragrance that has some class to it. So if you do want a slightly more nighttime oriented, fresh Acqua di Gio DNA flanker, this is a good one to consider. It's not going to be a screamer. It is a little bit understated, but I think it has a great bit of smoothness to it. I don't think it outdoes Profumo, at least not for me, but it is worth checking out if you're a fan of this line. That is Acqua di Gio Elixir, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. Not bad. I've had a lot of you guys asking for my opinion on this fragrance. I did try it in a Sephora when it came out earlier this year, snuck a spray on my hand and spent the day with it and was not impressed. I was trying to go into it with a true defense of all the hate. All these people were just taking shots at this fragrance, at this perfumer who is Francis Kirkjohn. People just had their weapons aimed right at his head, and it's ugly out there when you see what people are saying about Dior Homme Parfum. I Wasn't impressed the first time, but I'm like, you know what? I haven't worn it yet. I circled back around to it. Fragrance Buy sent it over along with the Armani. These are the two fragrances they sent me for the month. And I've been spending a little bit of time with it. 6 out of 10. That's how I'm going to lead this off. It is a 6 out of 10. I like it a little bit more than the Prada. There's a little bit more personality and character here, but all in all, not even comparing it to the original Dior Homme Parfum, because I think that's where a lot of people are going wrong. And not to say you're wrong for doing that, because it makes sense if you know this line, if you know the lineage of this line, how it's historically smelled, and just the presence that it has in the industry. This makes no sense that it's in the bottle that it's in. It's confusing, I get it. But we just have to accept, okay, Dior is going in a different direction. They obviously have a new in-house perfumer, a different vision for what they're doing with their fragrances. And we've seen that since 2020, even when they revamped the Dior Homme line before Francis came in. But even then, even that said, still doesn't impress me. First spray is probably the best. You get the iris. The iris is there. It's very short-lived. It's kind of waxy, powdery. There's a little bit of a freshness, and there's a whole lot of sweet woodiness backing it up. But the whole thing is very smooth. It's warm, it's ambery, but again, kind of aromatic and very pleasant. Not special, but that iris is like, okay, there's something here. Let's see what happens as it dries. As it dries, that iris disappears. Stays sweet, stays powdery, stays warm, and starts to get a little bit more woody, slightly bubblegummy, even leaning on like Jean Paul Gaultier Ultra Mall vibes. Some people say one of the Armani codes the Elixir or something. I don't know that fragrance very well, so I can't speak on that, but I'm getting real juvenile vibes as this dries. Deep dry down, don't care for it. It doesn't really change all that much. I'd say the woodiness comes out a little bit more. There's some vetiver that kind of whispers at the end, but not a whole lot of depth here. As a standalone release, even if you put it in a different bottle, not remarkable. I think the fact that it's in this bottle will get it attention as it has, but will also set a lot of people up for disappointment, which it has. So I don't hate it. I do like it. I was enjoying the experience overall. Just like, okay, this is a designer fragrance. I had to keep telling myself that. You are smelling a designer fragrance. How do you feel about it?
As a designer fragrance, this smells good.
And I think the bottle is making me like it more than I actually like it, because as a scent by itself, it's not special. But I am actually going to wear this. I like it a little bit more than the Prada. I like it a little bit more than the Ralph Lauren. I can tell there's a little bit more quality here. There's a little bit more thought behind it. I would say it stands out a touch more than the others, but just by a touch. I'd love to know what you think of this one. Again, not comparing it to the original. We can't compare it. Even though it's in the same bottle, it's a moot point to compare the two. As a standalone fragrance, what do you think of Dior Homme Parfum 2025? This one was unexpected for me from the house of Azzaro. Was not expecting this fragrance in this collection. From the Wanted collection, we have Forever Wanted Elixir in this beautiful gold bottle. This fragrance surprised me because it has some edge to it. It has some real personality. But all in all, it's not different. It is fruity leather. Raspberry and leather really stands out here. Slightly animalic, a little bit aromatic, a little bit more approachable than what you might already be thinking if you think of raspberry and leather. That is Tuscan leather from Tom Ford. It is along those lines for sure. Would this exist if Tuscan leather had never been? Probably not. But nonetheless, it is a good standout designer release. They went out on a limb. They took a risk. I like that. They're not just trying to appeal to everyone with this fragrance. There is something very masculine about it. There's something relatively authoritative about it. It really stands out as something self-assured, but they did it in a way that's still approachable. So I like it. I'm not going to get a ton of wear out of it because I don't wear the Tuscan leather type DNA all the time. Even though I like Tuscan leather even more than this, I don't wear it that much. So not a huge versatile fragrance for me, but if you're looking for something in the special occasion realm, but in the designer realm, this is a great consideration. I would easily rate it a 7 out of 10. It's about average, if not a little bit above average. Good job, Azzaro. If you like orange, like real photorealistic, juicy, sweet orange, this is worth checking out. I like this one. I like it more in the opening. The dry down gets a little flat for me, but not bad. But from Margiela, one of their newer releases called Neverending Summer, it is this like orange Aperol vibe. There is kind of this liqueur feel behind this fresh, bright orange, but kind of like the color, it's not like a sunny day type of citrusy fragrance to me. It smells a little bit more evening, a little bit more sunset vibes, a little bit more going into the cooler part of the day, into the night. and there's something kind of alluring about it while still having the remnants of the brightness of the day that has just passed. As it dries down, we lose the citrus quality and it becomes a little bit less special, but it's still kind of its own thing and it's still really pleasant. Definitely unisex right down the middle, but I will say it's a little bit less feminine than I was expecting. So I feel like I can wear this with confidence. My wife also enjoys it too. It's a good release from the brand. It has specificity. They do that well with the replica line. They're always going for a specific image and vision that they're trying to paint through scent. And they usually do it in a pretty good job, whether or not it resonates with your taste. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Let me know what you think of Margiela Neverending Summer if you've tried it. And finally, I like this stuff. I really like this one. This one is an 8.5 out of 10. It's the highest rating in the video. Not like a perfect fragrance. For me, it's not my favorite fragrance I've tried this year, but it's definitely among one of the favorites. This is from the house of Issey Miyake. This is called l'Odyssée pour Homme Eau de Parfum. An Eau de Parfum flanker of the original, which is obviously a classic, a legendary scent profile that has spawned who knows how many flankers. But the Eau de Parfum, don't be fooled. It's not just a more intense version of the original. And what I mean by that is that it has a different proportioning to it. It kind of has a different emphasis. It is not super citrusy forward, not super yuzu forward as the original is. It still has a brightness. It still has a dry, kind of bitter, citrusy quality to it, but it leans a little bit more heavy on the woods. It almost has this green, old school, woody feel to it, kind of this 1980s masculine feel, but definitely modernized and definitely put inside of the l'Odyssée DNA. It's kind of salty, it's a little bit mouth-watering, but it wears in a very easy way, all while standing out as a unique personality. It's definitive. It doesn't smell like a whole lot of other stuff out there outside of this collection. That's what I love the most about great fragrances, period. Doesn't matter where it comes from. Does it stand out as its own thing? Is it saying something that's worth listening to? Or is it just regurgitating what others have had success saying? I don't think this is doing that. You may not like it more than the original. That's okay. I've seen some mixed reviews about it, but I happen to really enjoy this stuff. I think it's a great hot weather fragrance when I want something fairly casual, but with a little bit more oomph, with a little bit more personality. And I just find it so uplifting. So I want to know what you think of l'Odyssée pour Homme EDP. If you've tried it or any of these fragrances, let me know down in the comments. Once again, most of them are available down at the links below. Again, some of them will come a little bit later, perhaps, but give me your brutally honest thoughts.